Welcome into the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. In this right here, this is G Money Grant Mitchell. We are here breaking down the awards market at the almost quarter point in the season, and you can't teach that. Bada boom, man of the people in the room. G Money Grant Mitchell, how you doing?
I'm doing very well, Tanner. I started a new diet recently, and it calls for a very large breakfast. So I'm a little stuffed as we're recording this, but I am interested to see how it plays out. I'm trying to get swole. I'm trying to get big.
You were getting swole for a while.
Yeah, and then I started cutting, and I trained for the Spartan race, which ironically I'm wearing the shirt for and everything. But winter is approaching. Don't need to take the shirt off. Not going to be at the beach, so it's time to get some pounds back on.
I went to yoga the other day.
How was that?
I almost have a Core Power membership. I'm like pretty close to getting one.
How'd it go? How was it?
I was better than half the girls in there, honestly. Some of them can't even stretch. Like I'm unflexible or not flexible, and some of these girls they can't stretch. I don't know what the word is.
Yeah, I think it's inflexible. Inflexible?
I was doing. I don't know. It don't matter. It doesn't matter what it is. But I was doing the stuff where you like stick your hands between your legs and like do like the frog and like holding your balance, and my wrists hurt after a little bit. But I was watching all these girls like tumble over, and I'm like, damn, like you guys got a membership? Been here one day.
When you were playing football, like, I know some offensive linemen are strangely flexible. Was that you or no?
No, I'm not flexible at all. I actually hate doing it. It's not fun for me, but like I know that when I run, I don't stretch after and I can't get myself to stretch. So like I need something to go make me do it, and $200 a month can help with that.
So I have this weird thing. This is how I always describe it. I say I move well in a confined space. My range of motion is not good. Like I can't twist my back around and stuff like that. But if I'm just standing still or sitting still, and you ask me to stretch and reach for my toes and everything, I can do that. It's kind of the movement stretches where I don't do well.
I probably do better with movement, and like I'm not flexible with just touching my toes. So, but the problem is when you do yoga, they talk about the flow and like Shabbat Shalom or Shamasimo. I don't know what the hell they say, but like it's like all flow. Like I just want to hold a hamstring stretch really bad, and like nobody does. Like we're going downward dog, upward dog. Like it's like a rush to get it done at this place. And I like it. Don't get me wrong. Like because I need to do it. I hate it, but I need to do it, and I feel better doing it twice. So I might get a membership. We'll see.
Yeah, yoga's not bad. I had an aversion to yoga because I mean, you said you don't stretch. I don't recommend that. But if you are a runner and if you're a distance runner specifically, sometimes you don't want to be tight, but you also don't want to be overly loose because there's this elasticity principle with the muscles in your legs. Basically, you want a little bit of tightness so they can kind of snap back into place. And I remember back in high school, our coach brought in a yoga instructor who, by the way, did not know what she was doing. And she was forcing us to stretch the day before our races. And we would get to the races and be really sore. And the whole team just ran like crap. And this went on for like a month or two. And then finally, one day before our biggest race of the year, I didn't go to practice that day. I said, hey, coach, I got a test I got to study for. I can't make it. I skipped so that I didn't have to do yoga. And then I ended up running my best race of the year. So from that point on, for the next like 6-7 years, never tried yoga. When I injured my back last year, I ended up going back to it. And I'm like you, it is good, especially since, our job requires us to sit down and type a lot or work on our computers. It's good to get up and move around, but still probably will never be my favorite thing.
Yeah, but it's what I need more than what I like doing. But that's the way it is, though. So anyways, we're talking about the NFL today. And before we talk about the NFL, you guys need to go to WSN.com, the World Sports Network, the network of the people, where you can get all the picks, the promo codes, everything you need to know from Ride the Line. And you can ride over there to WSN.com.
Yep, absolutely. Tanner, did you know that NFL public sides, meaning bets with at least 51% of the tickets, are 17-30 against the spread?
It's crazy. It's really crazy. It just shows, though. I don't think it necessarily shows like the public is stupid. Like because there's people out there that say if you fade the public in every game, you're going to make money. And that might be true this year. But I think it's more these teams just are so close to each other right now. And I do think it has something to do with quarterback play getting dumbed down. Like quarterbacks just as a whole right now are not that good.
Yeah, absolutely. And building off of that, for the past probably 10 years and really within the last 5 years, the way you decide a matchup is basically, well, who has the quarterback, they won. The fact that quarterbacks have become less important, it's created more parity across the league. The Minnesota Vikings are 3-0. The Cincinnati Bengals are 0-3. If you look at the quarterback battle of Joe Burrow, Sam Darnold, we know which way that should go, but that's just not how it's played out.
And maybe that's because the Minnesota Vikings are not asking Sam Darnold to do too much. Like, you look at his numbers, nothing's been super impressive, and the touchdowns are good, but the yardage not there. The yards per attempt isn't there. Like, they're just playing clean team football, and that wins in today's world. Like, looking at the quarterbacks here, like Dak's been good, I guess, in the fourth quarter, right? Daniel Jones hasn't been great. Derek Carr's not that good. Atlanta, Kirk Cousins, blah, blah, blah. I'm just going through the schedule, but like, when you look through some of these teams and their quarterbacks, like, the only quarterback that I trust like late in a game is probably Patrick Mahomes for sure. I love Josh Allen. He looks fantastic. I need to see how he looks when stuff gets hard. And, you got Lamar obviously in there too. But as a whole, these quarterbacks just aren't great this year.
And also, I mean, let's just look at the list of teams in the NFL. Nobody's going to say that the Chiefs aren't good. I think right now you might have expected them to fall off, but you've got to put the Buffalo Bills up there as a good team. Certainly, probably one of the two best teams in the league. After that, who can you definitively, without a shred of doubt, tell me is a good football team? Maybe the Houston Texans. Other than that,
maybe.
Who else can we? The Detroit Lions, maybe. Jared Goff has 3 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. But like, the point is, that's 4 teams. Who else out there is a 100% no doubt about it a good team?
What's crazy is when you look at who's undefeated. The Bills are undefeated. They have a good quarterback. The Steelers are undefeated. Justin Fields hasn't done much. They have a great defense. They play good team football, and he hasn't turned the ball over. The Chiefs, good quarterback, but Mahomes hasn't done anything special this year. They're just a good team, and they find ways to win. Like that has been a team effort winning those 3 games. Mahomes has almost cost them a couple of games this season. And then you look at the NFC right now, the Minnesota Vikings, Sam Darnold, not asking him to do too much. Seattle, Geno Smith, a guy that can perform, and they play really good team football in Seattle. So it's like the better teams are winning. The quarterbacks have nothing to do with it.
Seattle's 3-0 also is probably one of the, I don't want to say the fakest, but one of the easiest 3-0s you'll get. You get Bo Nix at home in his first start as a rookie. You get the Patriots in overtime, and then you get the Skylar Thompson Dolphins.
And still, though, it's hard to win in the NFL. But I do agree with you there. It's very hard to win. And you look at some of the other teams that are 1-2 that realistically should be 3-0. I mean, you could tip your cap to the Seahawks, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. All right, so we are going to be talking about awards markets. Can't remember if you mentioned that or not. You did. We're going to talk about awards markets. Do we want to start with the big one, MVP, or we want to save it for the end?
Let's start with MVP, because I don't think there's as much to talk about with MVP. I think the most wild thing with this market is the fact that you're getting Mahomes for plus 250, you're getting Josh Allen for plus 250, and then CJ Stroud's 14-1. Josh Allen has been dominant this season. He's great with the touchdowns, great with rushing. Patrick Mahomes at plus 250, he's got 5 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, I believe, but you're just getting him for this price because it's the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, and they think they're going to turn it on. However, I don't think Patrick Mahomes is ever going to have a dominant season this year. I don't think there's a route for how this team plays for him to lead the league in passing yards and lead the league in passing touchdowns. I mean, they're just not that kind of team right now. They're playing clock control, possession, and that's how they're winning games.
Yeah, I agree. And I guess the counterpoint to that is Isaiah Pacheco breaks his leg, so Mahomes is going to have to do more. But if you look at what happened in their first game without Pacheco, they said, nah, we're just going to run it with Carson Steele. We're not going to change our approach. We're just going to keep playing the same way. And Travis Kelce, has not been good this year. Maybe he can come back and start to perform at the end of the year or the playoffs, kind of like he did last year, but maybe even put it off a little bit longer. Maybe that's true, but the point is that's not going to help Mahomes' MVP case. Hollywood Brown's going to be out for the year. They're not really getting Xavier Worthy involved. Like, a lot of what they're doing is just kind of throwing it to him behind the line of scrimmage. Really, the only downfield attack this team has is with Rashee Rice and a small bit of Juju Smith-Schuster. So I think Mahomes can play himself, into a top 5 quarterback season. But I'm like you, I don't see the MVP ceiling in this one, especially with the voter fatigue. People don't want Mahomes to win. I know the Chiefs are America's team right now, but they're also one of the most hated teams. And I just don't see the MVP going his way.
And even if the Chiefs beat the Bills in the playoffs and Josh Allen just continues to do what he's done, he's still going to win the MVP award. It has nothing to do with how you win in the playoffs. It has everything to do with how you play in the regular season and what you can do for your team. And Patrick Mahomes is probably by far the best quarterback in the NFL. However, the way they're playing right now just doesn't show that. And the way the Bills play, it does. Look at some guys down the board. You got CJ Stroud 14-1, Jalen Hurts 16-1, Lamar's 20-1. Same with Aaron Rodgers, Joe Burrow, and Brock Purdy's 22-1. Nobody on this list gives me the impression that they can win an MVP based on how they have started. Like this year, just how everyone's playing. I know you can make the case for Lamar saying he's a multi-time MVP, and the fact of the matter is them bringing Derrick Henry in, I think they're just going to start pounding the rock with him. Lamar's going to run the ball a lot, but it's not going to lead to like big passing stats.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but at the same time, if I'm picking someone off that list, it is Lamar, because I don't see Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers was mediocre through 2 games, had a very good game in week 3, and that caused his odds to skyrocket because people are thinking, oh, he had to warm up. This is what we're going to get every week. I disagree with that. I think you're going to see regression. He's also 40 years old. It's hard to be at your best every game the older you get. Jalen Hurts, I know he is up there in MVP odds, but similar to Brock Purdy last year, Jalen Hurts is not the MVP of his own team. That's Saquon Barkley so far. Jalen also has more turnovers than anybody since the start of last year. Some head-scratching decisions. It's not good. Joe Burrow, his team is 0-3. There's a very good chance they miss the playoffs, so I don't see how you can win the MVP in that situation. And then the other names on here, Brock Purdy, yes, he has been impressive so far. And I do want to give him his credit, because last year and the year before it was he's winning, but the team's winning. It's not him. Now they're losing, but Brock Purdy is playing well. So if we can get to a middle ground there, then I think Purdy does become a very viable option. But for me, again, with what you said, how they've started the year and what we know about the players, Allen, Lamar, Purdy, those are probably the 3 that I'm looking at.
I would probably take Purdy out of that list just because Lamar's got the voter fatigue. I think adding Derrick Henry makes them run the football more. And Brock Purdy has his chance to shine now without Christian McCaffrey there, depending how Christian McCaffrey's health is when he comes back. But he's 4th in QBR. He's got 842 passing yards. That's 2nd in the league. Besides the one game against Minnesota, he's been very good. I didn't watch the game against the Rams last week. It seemed like it was a defensive issue more than anything, because he was 292 with 3 touchdowns, no picks, and 86 QBR. So I would try to take Brock Purdy for the value there.
Yeah, he missed one throw late in the game that maybe could have sealed the game, but at the same time, if you go into the 4th quarter with a 10-point lead, it's on the defense. You're not supposed to lose that. So yeah, Purdy played well. I mean, really, we know Jayden Daniels is the best quarterback in the league, but we can save that for Rookie of the Year talk.
Well, let's move right into it, Grant, since you're giddy to talk about Jayden Daniels right now. And you should be. I mean, it was his performance from my perspective, and a guy who really needed the Bengals to win that football game. I did live bet them at +5.5. So I made some money back. But Jayden Daniels was fantastic in this game. I don't know what clicked. Because I don't think the Bengals defense is that bad. And Jayden Daniels made every throw, every check down. And you got to give credit to Cliff Kingsbury too. He called a fantastic game.
Yep, absolutely. I don't know if it became personal for him because Cam Taylor-Britt said Cliff Kingsbury's got them running a college offense. But at the same time, I don't think there was too much different in this game than what there has been in the past games. Maybe you can say they were more aggressive because they went for it 3 times on 4th down, but I don't think that was a Cliff Kingsbury play calling sort of deal. I think that was Dan Quinn just sitting back and saying, look, Joe Burrow is going into the game. We know Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Once we're in the game, Joe Burrow was cooking. I mean, the Bengals offense, just like the Commanders didn't punt, the Bengals also didn't punt, and they didn't turn it over. So I think it was just Dan Quinn saying, hey, we are going to control the outcome. We're going to keep it in our hands. If we punt on 4th down, if we kick a field goal, then you're putting it in your opponent's hands. So I think Dan Quinn just said, no, we're going to keep control of this one. But no, I'm with you. I mean, Jayden made unbelievable throws and he was highly accurate, made incredible plays, but he doesn't get to that point if Cliff Kingsbury does not call the game that he does.
And the one thing before we really dive in on the Rookie of the Year Marcus Hall, I want to talk about Joe Burrow for a second, because people were cooking Joe Burrow online saying, oh, Jayden came in and outplayed you in your stadium. And Jayden played great, don't get me wrong. But Joe Burrow was still 29 of 38 for 324 with 3 touchdowns. The biggest issue with them was the red zone, where they were 2 for 4 on red zone touchdowns. There was still a path for them to win this football game, as great as Jayden Daniels played. Like, one stop, they would have won the game. One more score in the red zone, they would have still found a way to win the game. So I don't want people cooking Joe Burrow here. Joe Burrow's fantastic too.
Yeah, he was very good. But I don't know what your opinions are. And I get that when we say, like, if we're talking about, I don't know, the top 5 favorite or best songs of all time, or top 10 moments, what it is somewhat, it's arbitrary, first of all, but also, like, you can't go through, if we're talking about the top 10 plays in the history of football, you can't remember every play that's happened. So I get that this isn't necessarily a real title, but that performance from Jayden Daniels, I don't know where you come down on it. That's one of, like, the 25, 50 best regular season quarterback games I think that's ever been played. He completed 91% of his passes. They were 3 for 3 on 4th down. He got it done in a variety of ways, more touchdowns than incomplete passes. You know, the running touchdown, the 2 unbelievable deep balls. There was a pass to Noah Brown where he slides it basically on the ground. Only his guy can get it. The moving out of the pocket, extending plays, truly flawless. And if you look at Pro Football Focus's player grades they give out, this was the best game that anybody has played at any position this season. So,
No,
I mean, it was just an unreal performance by him.
it was unbelievable. There's nothing else you can really say about it. He did a great job there. It was unbelievable. Every time they went for it on 3rd or 4th down, you knew they were going to convert. The RPO game was working. The run game was working. The deep shots were great. Like, everything was fantastic for him. So he is clearly the rookie of the year favorite right now. Behind him, you have Malik Nabers at plus 300, who's could revitalize Daniel Jones' career. Honestly, he is that good. And then you have Marvin Harrison Jr. at plus 550. Caleb at plus 650 is terrible. And then Bo Nix at plus 3,000 is not good. So, like, this is Jayden Daniels, Malik Nabers, maybe Marvin Harrison Jr. can sneak his way into the mix. But the quarterback, considering they touched the ball on every play, if Jayden Daniels can do half of what he did in this football game, and this football game is going to elevate him to, he could come out and have a pretty bad game next week. And then if he's decent in the weeks following that, nobody's going to remember the bad game. So I would be on Jayden Daniels for rookie of the year right now. If you didn't get it before, sorry, probably don't take it at plus 125, but it's still a good bet.
Yeah, I'm with you on everything you said there. Malik Nabers, I think, has clearly put himself in that number 2 position. I am surprised that Marvin Harrison Jr. is not doing more, because I believe Nabers is a future Pro Bowler, future All-Pro member, but I felt even higher about Marvin Harrison Jr. And Kyler Murray might have limitations. He's a better quarterback than Daniel Jones. Now, I understand the Cardinals aren't force-feeding him the ball the way the Giants are. Malik Nabers, I don't know if you know this, has a higher target share than any receiver or running back in the entire league. It's higher than Tyreek. It's higher than Justin Jefferson. It's higher than Jamar Chase. So the Giants are funneling pretty much their entire passing attack through Malik Nabers. But with how he's played and how talented he is, I mean, why wouldn't you? The guy has 3 touchdowns in the last 3 weeks. He broke 10 receptions and like 110, 120 yards when he played the Commanders. Dude's awesome. And honestly, as a Commanders fan, I want to thank Malik Nabers, because he might keep Daniel Jones employed by the Giants. And that's just a mistake by them. And it's going to be good for us. And it will be because of Malik Nabers and how special he is.
Well, I mean, realistically, the Giants probably should try to keep him for another year because they just paid him, like, realistically.
I mean, logistically, yes.
Logistically, if you can make it work with Daniel Jones, if you can be a competitive team, like, you have to do it just because of what they paid him.
Yeah, but Nabers is awesome. I was talking with some friends. I think it might have been right after the Monday night game. And look, I love Terry McLaurin. First of all, I think Terry McLaurin's character, work ethic, I think he's one of the most special players in the league. He's also a very good receiver. We've heard this throughout Terry McLaurin's career, that this is a top 10 receiver in the league. You just don't know it because all the horrible quarterbacks he's played with, the Josh Johnsons, the Garrett Gilberts, Alex Smith off the reconstructed leg, Dwayne Haskins. He's never had his Joe Burrow. He's never had his Josh Allen, his Mahomes. I think McLaurin is awesome, but I was saying in the offseason, and I don't even really want to talk about this point, but I was saying in the offseason, Terry's going to be 30, coming up on 30 years old. Maybe you trade him, bring in a younger wide receiver who's about the same level, but can give you more, blah, blah, blah. And then I put out a list of players. I said, Terry McLaurin is great, but he's not Justin Jefferson. He's not Jamar Chase. He's not Tyreek Hill. And I put Malik Nabers in there. And somebody said, isn't it a little early to be putting Nabers in that group? And I said, no. I don't care that it's 3 weeks. He has already been special. And this isn't like a quarterback is good for 3 weeks and defenses watch film and they adjust their game plans. Either you can cover outside or you can't. And if you can't stop Malik Nabers and they're already bracketing him, putting 2 guys on him, and he's doing this with Daniel Jones, this guy's special. He's going to be an all-pro probably very soon.
And I also think, too, with Marvin Harrison, he was fantastic. But again, you're playing at Ohio State in a Big Ten conference where teams play really good in the front seven. The secondary can be a little more shaky. And it's also Marvin Harrison's kid, too. So you got it. Like, he's fantastic. Don't get me wrong. But if Malik Nabers had a father who was an all-pro receiver, we probably would have been saying similar things about him coming into the season.
Yeah, and also just physically, I mean, Nabers isn't short. He's 6 foot. But MHJ is 6'4", 220. I believe he's faster than Nabers as well. So that also plays a big part in it as well.
Yeah. Final award here that we're going to break down. We are talking about comeback player of the year. This should be slam dunk 2 people, Sam Darnold or Damar Hamlin. Realistically, it should be Damar Hamlin. Sam Darnold deserves a comeback player of the year, but I think if Damar Hamlin continues to do what he has done and play this season, I mean, that's remarkable. Not only did he have the heart problem and almost die last year, people were saying he needed to get cut, and this was the season he was going to get cut, and now he's a starter that's playing really well for the Buffalo Bills. I love Sam Darnold. I don't think Aaron Rodgers and Joe Burrow should even be on this list at the top. It should be Darnold or Hamlin 1-2.
Yeah, Joe Burrow being on there is a crime. I mean, his team's 0-3. I get he's playing well, but he's been injured in half of his professional season. So he was injured his rookie year. Are we going to give him comeback player of the year the next year? And then he gets injured in his 3rd year and he's going to win it again. Is that just the cycle we're going to follow? No, don't do that. Aaron Rodgers, I understand because he really is in his 1st year with a new team, torn Achilles, 40 years old. I get that. We did talk about this on the last show. I understand it, but I would still have him behind Sam Darnold. That's what we said last week. And I'm with you. Damar Hamlin has put himself into the top 2. Now, it would be insane if he wins comeback player of the year this year instead of last year when he made it back to the field after dying on the field and they give it to Joe Flacco, who played like 5 weeks of football. That would be a little backwards, but still, I'm with you. Those are the top 2 guys. Sam Darnold might not be throwing for 400 yards per game, but 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, quarterback of an undefeated team, top 5 in QBR. That case makes itself. And then Damar Hamlin. The Buffalo Bills are one of the top 5 defenses in the league right now. They've been blowing out their opponents. I think they won their last 2 games by 21 and 37 points. They got the highest average scoring differential. They're like top 3 in points allowed. And Hamlin just had his first career pick last week. That's why you're seeing him soar in odds. So like you said, if he continues to play well, Buffalo wins the AFC East again. They finish with a top 5 defense. It's going to be hard to keep him out of those top conversations.
Like last year when Joe Flacco got it, I agreed with that. Joe Flacco came back. He came off his couch to lead the Browns to a playoff spot and played really well in the process. Damar Hamlin, it almost felt like last year we were just keeping him around because we felt bad. And that's sad to say, but he wasn't a contributor. Every time he was on punt team, he always made a mistake. Like there was a lot of problems with how he played last year. So I get that. But this year it's like now he fully beat dying on the field. He's leading the Bills defense. He's playing really well. And people didn't want him here this year. Like everybody thought he wasn't even going to be playing in the NFL this year. So like this would be the year to give Damar Hamlin comeback player of the year 2 years after. Because like last season, he didn't have a good year. He came back. It was great. It was just the fact that he didn't really do much. And that was the reason he didn't get it last year.
I wonder how much of him not even really playing. I think he only dressed for like 2 or 3 games last year. I wonder how much of that was Sean McDermott and the coaching staff understandably being scared. But now it's like we're more than a year removed from it. We've seen no negative signs. It was a fluke accident. And to his credit, like we were talking about this with Tua. Should Tua hang it up because of all the concussions? This is something completely different. But when you literally die on the field, I can't imagine his family members and his friends haven't gone to him and said, "Hey, you made your millions of dollars. Move on. Find something else to do." For him to overcome that and then bounce back and get into the starting lineup and make plays, that is pretty remarkable.
He should win comeback player of the year. If he can stay healthy and continue to play at the level, there's no doubt it should be Damar Hamlin. So we'll see what happens there. He's definitely a liability for the books. I think people are really betting him hard right now. And you know what, too, when it comes down to it, I think a lot of people, like if you're looking at it from this perspective, a lot of people not only felt bad he didn't win it last year, people were a little puzzled he didn't win it last year. So now would be the time to repay that back. So keep that in mind.
He was like minus 5,000 to win it last year at one point.
Yeah. So and you know what that shows? That's good though, because it shows the betting markets don't know what the hell they're talking about sometimes.
I think futures and specifically awards and like draft picks and stuff like that, the stuff where there isn't raw statistic to back it up, that's where you're going to see the biggest errors and where the lines are.
Well, like Paul Skeens for the National League Rookie of the Year, and I could be wrong, I haven't checked it, but he's not going to win it. It's going to be Jackson Merrill from San Diego, who Paul Skeens was like minus 20,000 or minus 2,000 to win the award at one point. He was one of the favorites in the Cy Young at one point, and then Jackson Merrill has a great month in the summer, and then he suddenly is going to win National League Rookie of the Year. And Skeens was unbelievable this season. Like Skeens didn't really have a bad game. So it's just that fluctuation is crazy.
Any other players here worth mentioning? I think, and I'm not saying I would have them ahead of Darnold and Damar Hamlin. I think Justin Fields has a chance to be in the conversation. If the Steelers are going to win, not even because of him, but if he's going to continue to not turn the ball over, career high in completion percentage, et cetera, the Steelers win like 12 games, he could be in the conversation. And like if Damar Hamlin has an injury or falls out of it for whatever reason, Darnold regresses, then I think Justin Fields gets into the conversation. Would I have him as the favorite? No, but he's kind of the only other person. Nick Chubb might have he has a platform just because the Browns offense has been horrific. And if he comes back and all of a sudden they got a top run game, they make it to the playoffs, it gives him the platform. But other than those two guys, I don't really see anybody on here that I would take a chance with.
Nick Chubb's the only dude that I would go with. Because for Justin Fields, I mean, comeback player of the year, this man's been a starter his whole time. I know he had it rough, but he's been a starter and he's not doing anything exceptionally well. He's leading them to wins and he's not turning the ball over, but I don't think that warrants being a comeback player of the year. Like Darnold's still, I think, first in passing touchdowns. So that's the reason you'd go there. But Nick Chubb for 40-1, I think is the best bet on the board, depending on how he is when he comes back. You're gambling on what he's going to play like when he comes back. Because if he comes back and has 100 yards and a touchdown in his first game, you're going to see this drop to 20-1. And if he does that again, it's probably going to be down to 10-1.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what's going to happen with these markets. Like, yes, Damar Hamlin has been a figure on the Bills' defense, but it wasn't until he just got his first career interception in prime time that you see his odds shoot up. So, and same thing with Jayden Daniels. I mean, I think last week he was like plus 400, plus 350. Now he's plus 125. It just takes one game to get really serious movement in these markets.
Yeah, one bad game for any of these guys. Like if Jayden Daniels comes out this week and one touchdown, 2 interceptions, throws for 160 yards, and they look bad, he's going to go probably up to 2-1. So
and if the Nabers has a good game, Nabers might be the favorite next week.
Yeah, so you just don't know what's going to happen. That's why these markets are so. And we still have so much football left to play. Like we're talking about the quarter waypoint, but there is a lot of football left.
I mean, maybe there's another Joe Flacco out there. Again, Flacco played like 5 or 6 games in the regular season.
Yeah, maybe he comes back again. Or is he officially retired?
He was the Colts backup. Is he still?
I think he is.
I'm going to beat you to it. I'm going to beat you to it.
No, he's back up. He's back up.
He is?
He's got
had a good old Sam Ehlinger.
Sam Ehlinger, Texas is back.
Texas is back, I will say. You doing anything special for this Georgia-Bama game? You just watching it at home?
Just watching it. I mean, it's going to be cool. Don't get me wrong. Again, we still got a lot of football left to be played, though. Like looking at Alabama, I have them to make the college football playoff. If they win this game, I think they're a mortal lock to make the college football playoff. But you still got to play Tennessee on the road. You still got to play LSU on the road. Like you still have some. I'm not saying LSU's anything special. I think Tennessee on the road is going to be the other one that would be the game where they slip up. But if they lose to Georgia, they can still go on the road, lose to Tennessee, and be just fine.
They can still make the playoff. I'm with you on that. And I don't want to say too much because I actually just this morning went ahead and posted my preview on WSN.com of this Alabama-Georgia game. It's got my best bets, my breakdowns and everything. A lot of pertinent analysis, statistics, injuries, et cetera, et cetera. Go check it out, WSN.com. I don't want to say too much here, but this is what's most interesting about this matchup for me is Kirby Smart in his career is 1-5 against Alabama, and all those were against Nick Saban. What I want to know is, was there some sort of institutional difficulty with beating Alabama, or was it your mentor, Nick Saban, just continued to get the best of you? Because Kalen DeBoer, he's not Nick Saban yet, but he is 107-12 in his coaching career. All he does is win games. And when you look at the season so far, who's been better? Alabama, probably by a little bit. Look at the statistics. Where is Alabama? Slightly ahead of Georgia in most things. So is Georgia going to be able to go on the road without a preseason All-American Tate Ratledge? Michael Williams is banged up. Carson Beck has an injury in his non-throwing shoulder. Are they going to be able to go on the road and overcome all of that like they should, by the way? This is still Georgia. Or are they going to lose? And whichever team loses probably does not make the SEC championship game.
I agree with that. They're both still going to get in the playoffs most likely. But here's the thing too, and I heard a great comparison. If you stuck Carson Beck on Colorado, Colorado wouldn't win a football game. If you stuck Shedeur Sanders on Georgia, they'd be 10 times better on offense. So like Carson Beck's not a difference maker. Jalen Milroe, he does turn the ball over a little bit. He's not a great pocket passer, but he's still a difference maker in football games. Alabama's got a great offensive line. And also too, with like Nick Saban, he is still in the building at Alabama every single day. He's still, him and Miss Terry are going to be sitting in the skybox. So if you think Nick Saban's not involved in these pregame, planning and coaching stuff, like you're crazy. So if Alabama wins this though, realistically, they beat Vanderbilt, they beat South Carolina. They may have trouble with Tennessee on the road. They're going to beat Mizzou bad at home. I think they're going to beat Alabama on the road at that point. Mercer, they'll smack Oklahoma on the road at that point after Tennessee beat Oklahoma. Like Oklahoma didn't show me anything against Tennessee, so I think they'd smack them and then they win the Iron Bowl. There's a path for Alabama to go undefeated if they win this football game.
Yeah, there absolutely is. I think that Tennessee game, I'm with you. I think that's one of the biggest games of the year. If you look at advanced analytics, they all say Tennessee is the best team in the country right now. Now, we haven't gotten into conference play. And of course, Nico Iamaleava, who, by the way, before the season started, I said when we get to the end of the year, we will look at Nico as the best quarterback in college football. I don't think he's at that level yet, and that might not be true, but he has been impressive. You can't take that away from him. The concern is his lack of experience. This is a second-year guy, but basically a freshman going out there, and you're looking at Tennessee with this defense, with their playmakers, with Heupel, on the headset, saying, well, they can win a national championship. It's going to come down to, can Nico overcome that lack of experience? Because if he does, this is a truly special player we have on our hands.
Yeah. I mean, realistically, the college football playoff, it's going to be all SEC teams.
I think Tennessee, Bama, and Georgia are essentially near locks. Ole Miss, you definitely got to look at them and say they're probably getting in. Texas is a for sure lock. Thank you. But yeah, I think you get those 5 teams in there.
Texas, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Ole Miss. Locks, because like right now when you're looking at 3, 6, 9, 12, like Notre Dame is 12th in the odd standings. Notre Dame, a 3-loss Alabama is better than Notre Dame on every single day of the week.
Absolutely, I agree. I mean, Notre Dame, no disrespect to Northern Illinois, and they do their defense is really good. They made plays when they had to.
Trash, Grant. They're trash.
I'm saying if Notre Dame loses one game this year, and it's to Northern Illinois, and Bama loses to Tennessee, Georgia, and whoever else, Bama had the better season.
Oh, yeah. Like, this will give you a little perspective on Northern Illinois. Northern Illinois beats Buffalo. All right. Buffalo beats Northern Illinois. Buffalo beats Northern Illinois. UConn is a 5.5-point favorite over Buffalo this weekend.
We can't do common opponents, though. That never works in sports.
I know, but Notre Dame should never. It's like when I look at it, UConn should be a 5.5 point favorite over Buffalo. They spend $1.5 million on NIL for that football team. They should be better. Northern Illinois should not be on the same playing field as Notre Dame. Buffalo and Northern Illinois should go at it, but it's the other side of the spectrum. It shouldn't happen.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you for sure.
All right, Bills Ravens, Grant, real quick game pick.
This is a very interesting matchup for obvious reasons. Kind of the second and third team in AFC odds behind the Chiefs, obviously. With the way that things are going, I like the Bills, and I wouldn't have expected myself to say that before the year. My biggest concern was Josh Allen's turnovers. Ever since, why am I blanking on the coordinator's name? Whatever his name is, came in for Buffalo. Josh Allen's not been turning the ball over, doesn't have a turnover this year, got 9 total touchdowns. I understand that Baltimore is great at running the ball right now, but at the same time, their defense has been very bad, and Buffalo's defense has been pretty good. I think you see them stack the box a lot. I don't think this is a big Derrick Henry game. I think this is really just a Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson showdown, and I like the Bills.
I agree with you. The Bills are very good against the run. So I think this is going to be a game that comes down to who plays better, Lamar or Josh Allen. I think we're both going to see them go off, take the overs for the passing, take the overs for the rushing, and just enjoy this one. It's going to be fun. But I would go Bills. Bills, especially as dogs right now. It's great.
What do you always say, Tanner? Hungry dog runs faster?
Hungry dogs run faster. Josh Allen's a dog. Just like Baker Mayfield, dog.
Jayden Daniels, dog.
Dog. There's a few dogs. Yeah, there's a few dogs for sure. But anyways, Grant, take us out of here.
Guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Ride the Line. We hope that you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button as well. Get down in the comments. Let us know what you are going to be betting on this weekend. Tanner and I will catch you all in the next episode of Ride the Line.